Hello, my name is Iron Pacifist and I play a level 3 Iron Man in OSRS, and these are my progress videos. On the last episode, we worked towards base 90s and got 90 smithing out of the way here at the Giants Foundry. And on this episode, we're going to continue that work towards 90 smithing, starting with either fletching or fire making. But before we do that, I wanted to go over our profit and loss at Giants Foundry, going from 83 to 90. So these are our leftover bars after what I made for this grind, and this is the GP we made minus I had 600k cash in the bank when I started this grind, approximately. I might be a little off there. So we're going to go over to the price checker and check that in. So this is what we have after running Giants Foundry. From 83 to 90, and over here we have what I had before running Giants Foundry 83 to 90. So these are all the Addy bars, the myth bars, and the rune that I had when I started this grind. So that was 11.2 mil, just under. I actually made 3 more rune bars to top this up, so it was divisible by 14. So that actually does give you over 11.2 mil. And at the end, we had 6.3, so that is a loss of just under 5 mil doing this. But we gained not just 297k, because this tracker resets every time the game restarts, which I do every update, but level 83 to 90 is considerably more than that. It is probably in the range of about 2 mil XP. So that's a decent amount. But what we can also do is not hand in, is go to the shop over here with this guy, and we can try to buy a ton of ore packs with our 12,000 points to try to make up some of this loss that we've got here. So we'll just go through, and it won't let me open these because I have a full inventory. Really? Oh boy, I need 5 free inventory spaces. I have made a huge mistake. Do not clear all my bank fillers. Oh my gosh, that would be a nightmare if I did that. Oh, they stack. Okay, well that's good to know. I did not expect them to stack. There we go. Now we can open all of them. Do they open from the bottom? Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I can just open them all from the bottom. Okay, back to the shop, and how much? Oh boy, that took almost half of my points already gone. Do I need 5 free inventory spaces again? No, I don't. Perfect. So how much, what do you think, of the 5 mil 5 mil loss, how much do you think we're getting back over here from this? Let's keep going, and that's it. That's all our ore packs. This will help me out, I guess, in the future. So let's go back to our price checker. So we lost 5 mil, and this got us another just under half a mil. So that puts our total loss at 4.5 mil. Fantastic. But what's next? Let's talk about what's next and what's coming in this episode. So I think the next thing to do is fletching, because your fletching XP at Wintertodt scales with your fletching level. So it makes sense to get that fletching level as high as possible before I go to Wintertodt. Because I am going to fletch at Wintertodt, because fletching XP is very expensive and very difficult to get on this account. So I try to get as much little bits as I can wherever I can. So we're going to start by going through the rest of this Addy and the rest of this myth and making those into dart tips and fletching them. We're going to go through all of that ore I just bought. I will probably blast this myth Addy and rune and make that into dart tips as well. And then we're going to go through these logs are going to be cut. And I did the math on this, and I decided to not do bows. I can't use the redwoods yet, but the rest of these are going to go to arrow shafts. We'll make headless arrows and then make broad arrows out of those. So that is the plan. So I will see you back once we have processed or started to process these resources into fletching, and we'll see how high we get before we head into Wintertodt. Rune dart tips done. Addy dart tips done. Myth mithril dart tips done. And now that we're finished making dart tips, we can take a look at our profit and loss from making these. So I kind of scuffed the screenshot, but at this point, our dart tips are worth 2.4 mil, and before they were worth just about 2 mil. So it's a nice little 450k profit. And now it's time to put feathers on these and immediately lose all of that profit. Addy darts done. And I almost missed that clip, but 81 fletching, the first of 10 levels we'll be getting on this grind. Mithril darts done. Rune darts done. And now that we're done feathering all of these darts, we can take a quick look at our sweet loss here of down to 200k, starting with 2.5 mil. So it's a pretty nice loss there. And as well, we can see we got about 1.5 fletching levels, which is actually a little bit better than I expected. So that's nice. Okay, and now that we're done fletching the metal, we're going to start fletching the wood. So here's a pre-shot of the value of this wood that we're going to start cutting all into arrow shafts. Yes, arrow shafts, not bows. I've done the math. A magic log in bow form is worth 180 fletching XP. In arrow shaft, it's worth over 700. So we're definitely going to be doing that, because I don't want to collect more materials than I have to. Maple arrow shafts done. Yew arrow shafts done. Magic arrow shafts done. Alright, and now that we're done chopping all of those logs, we got about 0.17 fletching levels. I didn't really expect much from that, and we can see our profit and loss from this, which is unsurprisingly going to be a pretty sweet loss. From 900k down to 100k. Not too surprising. Next step, we're gonna start adding arrows, or not arrows, adding feathers to all 111k 500 arrow shafts. Alright, so I think before we get in starting to feather those arrow shafts, I am bankrupt on herb seeds. Golems, Marintils, and Terramins don't count, obviously. So we are going to show off how do we get herb seeds on this account. So as I've kind of mentioned before, it's mostly through thieving, and as farming contracts as well, but thieving is definitely the bigger one. So we teleport out to the thieving, to the farming guild. I like the farming guild because this guy is close to a bank here, because I need to get more food a lot. I need to check what's in the seed box, and that is not the right seeds in there. So I'd like to fill the seed box with the 6 most common seeds that you can get from master farmers. So in order, those would be potato, onion, cabbage, tomato, barley, hammerstone. Fill that up just to have those placeholders in there, and because those are, you're going to get those every single inventory. You're going to get those 6 seeds. And I like this guy over here because there's a lot of spots, and I've marked them with yellow, where he will get trapped. Or she, actually. They remodeled this one to a female a few updates ago. But yeah, there's a few different spots where you can trap her into these yellow corners, and sometimes I also use an alt to kind of body block and stand to prevent her from walking certain ways, to help me get her into some of these spots. And then you can just spam click until you run out of food, or it respawns. I've got a little timer over the farmer's head so I can see when it will respawn. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to be collecting seeds. I usually like to do 1 thieving level's worth at a time. So I will be back with 94 thieving, and then we'll see what kind of herbs we got. So this is, I don't really want to reset my master farmers, but this is what we're starting with, is 50, just under 54k pickpockets and 17 mil GP, and we'll see what we get at 94 thieving. which will just be a nice another total level on the account. It'll take a while. I usually get around 60k XP an hour here. It's possible to get about double that with the thieving cape, but at my rates, that's going to be something around 12 to 13 hours. So that's what I'll be doing for the next couple of days. Alright, I'm still working away on that thieving level. You can see I'm about just under 25% of the way there. But I'm also getting low on the compost here. It's actually looks like 198, which seems good, but it was down to 1 yesterday morning. So I thought I'd take you guys along on a compost run on this account. This is very similar to a farm run, so I won't show all of the running that you've already seen in episode 2 when we did the farm runs, but I'll show off some of the little things I do to make compost runs less painful. Like if you click a bucket and then click on the compost bin every 2 ticks, it has to be exactly every 2 ticks. If you click on the 3rd tick, it will not count. If you click on the 1st tick, it will not count. But if you're accurate enough to click every 2 ticks, it will speed up your compost harvesting from a 4-tick cycle to a 2-tick cycle, which just kind of makes this go a little bit faster, which is nice. So first I get all 30 compost out of this bin, harvest 1 watermelon, click on the floor, and here's a bug you might have seen before, or you might not have. Click the watermelon patch 5 times really quickly, wait for your character to stand up. When they're in a standing position, use the watermelon on the compost bin, and you will begin putting watermelons in the compost bin while harvesting watermelons on alternating 2-tick cycles. They're both 4 ticks, so every 2 ticks you either harvest or you put it in, harvest, put it in. And it just, again, makes this so much faster, because compost runs take a very long time if you don't use all of these little tricks. It just kind of helps speed it up a little bit. But each of these compost runs, we're going to profit. Well, we're going to make 90 compost, but we use some of that in, for the watermelons and for the herbs. So we should profit about 80 compost each run, and usually I don't get enough to fill this bin from just that. So I will run to the bank and grab my last 3 watermelons out. Sometimes I'll keep a few in the inventory, just in case I get close, but I forgot to that time, so we'll just grab the last 3 out of the bank, fill up this bin, and then I'll do the herb patch here. Don't worry about that. These herbs died while I was thieving right next to them. That's not embarrassing at all. Oh well, these things happen. And we'll go here, and I will see you guys at the next compost bin. Again, as we're coming into the Fishing Guild compost bin, I always have my inventory set up with buckets as I'm running in, so I don't have to stop at the leprechaun, because of course no bottomless bucket on this account build. So this is the way I like to do it. Instead of, I used the wrong bucket there, and you saw that did not work. Instead of like the normal farm runs where I would clean herbs while running between patches, when I'm doing my compost runs, I will instead clean herbs before I run to the next patch and fill my inventory with buckets, because I think in all of the patches except Folidor, the bucket, the compost bin, you can call it a bucket, but the compost bin is closer to my teleport spot than the leprechaun. So if I were to run from the teleport to the leprechaun, grab buckets, note herbs, and then back to the compost bin, that would take longer than if I note herbs and do get my buckets out before leaving this and then teleport, and I can come straight to the compost bin instead of running to the leprechaun and back. It just saves. And seriously, I mean, these sound like little things that I'm saving like 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there, but oh my god, the compost runs take so long. At least I don't have to do them very often. The way I like to do this stuff is that whenever I am totally out of compost, I bring it all the way down to the absolute bottom, and then I will do compost runs every herb run until I get it back up to 1,000, which takes about 12 compost runs, 12 or 13, something like that. And then once it's back up to 1,000, I stop doing compost runs completely for until they are back down to very low stock again. You can see here we're going to clean the herbs, we're going to note the herbs, note the watermelons, and fill up with buckets and teleport to the next compost bin. And we are slowly walking into the next compost bin because I forgot to tele home to regen my run before coming to this Catherby, which is my longest run of any herb patch teleport. Oh well, these things happen to me a lot. Oh, almost missed the bucket there. Made it in. There we go. Another 15 compost. I will replace those and see you at the next bin. And flying into our next compost bin up here in Followdor, I wanted to add a little note here. You may have noticed these bars next to my inventory that show my HP and run. Previously in past episodes, and even earlier in this episode, they showed my HP and prayer. Because when this plugin first came out, you could not change what those bars showed, and I kind of got used to them on my main showing HP and prayer, so I left them on, showing HP and prayer on my skiller. However, thanks, big shout out to a mod in my CCM, Deathful, and he goes by a bunch of other names. He has a lot of accounts, but he told me that they updated this mod at some point, and you can put your run energy here now, which is very nice to be able to see that, because prayer is obviously useless to have as a bar there. I always have one prayer point, and I don't think I have ever used it on this account, so definitely a nice little thing there to show something useful instead of a pointless blue bar that never changes. There we go. Followdor patch is done, and there is one more left. And as we come into the Hosidius compost bin, if you're keeping track of my seed stacks, you may notice the watermelon stack is slightly higher than it should be. And that's because I definitely did not forget to replant the watermelons in Catherby before teleporting out. And it is very far from teleport, and I am too lazy to go back there. But that's okay. That's why there's 2 watermelon patches, and they both have watermelons in them, so that I don't have to worry too much about that. So I forgot to replant them, but that's okay. Next time I will use the other watermelon patch, and then the other one will be ready to I'll replant both of them. Oh well. And one more little trick: if we finish filling the bucket before the watermelon patch empties out, I don't like to leave it here because usually it doesn't have very many lives left in it. So if you spam click 5 or 6 times, you'll double harvest it. See, I'm harvesting twice per farming cycle, which is a 4 tick cycle. I'm actually farming twice every 4 ticks instead of once every 4 ticks. So again, just those little speed ups. And there we go. Didn't mess it up. Sometimes I mess that up. That's okay. You just kind of keep spam clicking until your character stands up, and that'll do it. There we go. And that will complete the compost run. So there we go. We got a nice little influx of 80 more compost into the storage, and I'll keep doing these compost runs as I do my herb runs over the next couple of days until I completely fill up that leprechaun. But this episode at this point is starting to get a little bit long, so I think at the end of this farm run here, we're going to call it there. I think we made some good progress here. We got through all of our metal and all of our wood for starting fletching. We got 1.5 fletching levels, and taking a short detour into thieving, quarter way through that level. And once that level's complete, we'll go back to fletching, finish using up all that wood, and that should give us into the 85 fletching area, and then we'll head into Wintertod. So that'll be next episode, where we'll start on those next steps. And until then, take care and see you later.